Morning briefing for Tuesday. I'm Hamish, Tony's there, Ryan as well. A few things to talk about, guys. There's a bit of a carry on from the weekend, I guess. Some things that we didn't quite get round to, and some developments as well. How are things, Tony?
All good. Sun's out in East Kilbride, so it's always good when that happens. As we've just seen off air, the dogs are going tonto because the dog walker's turned up, but seems to have gone away now. So fingers crossed, we get a dog bark free bulletin, but I'm not holding my breath.
Your dog was getting involved as well, Ryan, a few minutes ago here.
She sure was. I've put on Sky Sports News just to make sure that she doesn't bark. Although, if I don't know if they're covering Crufts or something or covering the Greyhounds, then she'll go on to it that as well. Fingers crossed that is the case. But yeah, delighted to be back on. It's always good to talk about Celtic, especially when Celtic seem to be in a good sort of frame of mind at the moment. Just looking forward to getting in and speaking about it, to be honest.
And for
It is
those
good,
wondering
isn't
where
it?
Kevin is, he's at the STUC conference, I believe. So he sent in a note to tell me that he wasn't going to be able to make it. So good on him, but he'll be back at some point this week, one of the days. Alrighty, so just in case anybody's wondering where he is.
Yeah, there will be someone out there. Whenever anyone's missing on the channel, there's always messages going in. It's usually you, Tony. Where's Tony today? So thanks for clearing that up. Things are kind of good at the moment. It's kind of feels good to be a Celtic fan. Well, always feels good to be a Celtic fan, but especially at the moment. Work still to be done, but I think we're in a kind of a good spot right now. Right, we'll get into the chat. First of all, big thanks to Weissman and MPH Boilers for sponsoring this video. Weissman are a global leader in the boiler industry. And to make things even more exciting, everyone, they've teamed up with Scotland's very own award-winning installation team. That is MPH Boilers, making this a match made in heaven. Just like Celtic winning and Rangers losing at the weekend. I don't know. Weissman's boilers are engineered to deliver not just warmth but unparalleled efficiency and reliability. We're talking cutting edge technology that saves you money on energy bills and reduces emissions. And with MPH boilers, you know you're getting service from the best in the business. A local team that are committed to excellence and customer satisfaction. So you choose a Weissman boiler installed by MPH. You'll also get a free internet controller, and they're offering the first year service free. So it's your big chance to get world-class engineering with local expert service. So check them out, MPH Boilers and Weissman. Ryan?
Yeah, guys, still running our best ever offer. 6 months of access for a £1 plus a free Kyogo Furuhashi print from renowned football artist made by Frankie. I know the site was looking a bit bare yesterday, but we've managed to redo that, and we've got free articles in the past, 16, 18 hours, you would say. So it's looking very busy on the Celtic Way website. If you want to get involved, there's a piece from Tony, there's a stats bomb piece from myself, and there is an analysis piece from Alan Morrison. So there's plenty to get your teeth stunk into. If you're looking for the Celtic Way's content, then go no further than celticway.co.uk/subscribe. £1 for the first 6 months, free Kyogo Furuhashi print. And yeah, just get involved, guys, and we thank everybody that's joined us thus far.
We do indeed. I'm just getting a tiny wee bit of feedback when I'm speaking, guys. I'm not sure if it is one of you, and our wonderful listeners will be on to it in a second. So I'm getting in ahead of you all. It's not too off-putting, but I can just hear it slightly. Right, how are we? How are things? What do you want to talk about? Is there anything on your minds you want to go post-split fixtures? We kind of touched on that yesterday. Scottish Cup this weekend. Tony, I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, have I got the cast and vote on this one?
You do.
I tell you what, do you know what I like? I like people's, see when we talk about like the Scottish Cup, I like people's Scottish Cup memories. Scottish Cup,
all right.
These semi-final goals, final goals, whatever. I always hark back to the first ever cup final. I mean, lots of people say the Tom Roderick Invincible final, great moment in sport, wonderful. But the first ever cup final I was at was 1985 Scottish Cup final when Celtic beat Dundee United 2-1. Came back from behind. David Provan scored a free kick, and Frank McGarvey scored the winning header. But what made it for me is when I went home and watched it, and Archie McPherson delivered a wonderful line. Brilliant, well-rehearsed ad-lib. I think he had it to hand. And Provan lines up the free kick, and he says, only twice before in the history of the Scottish Cup final have goals been scored direct from a free kick. Is this a little bit of history? Provan bends it in, and you just hear Archie going, it is! And it's just a wonderful moment in sport, So, Hampden memories, lots of Hampden memories for Celtic, because they're frequenters there, aren't they? So I'd like to get people to shove them in the comment section, let us know what your favourite Hampden memory is, and obviously a bit poignant with Frank McGarvey because he sadly passed away recently. So, I'd be interested to hear your guys' first cup final that you were at Hampden as a supporter, if you remember.
Put me on the spot there. I don't know if it was the Scottish Cup final or the League Cup final, but I do remember being at Celtic v Livingston, maybe about 2004, 2005.
Yeah. League Cup, I think.
I remember being at that one quite clearly. I think the echo's actually coming from your computer, Tony. I don't know if the audio is maybe playing through your computer instead of your headphones.
Okay, don't know.
But yeah, in terms of other Scottish Cup, I don't know about you, Hamish, because I came in quite late to the party, to be honest. There was games that I went to, and then I fell out of football for a couple of years. Maybe I was more into playing games, and then I came back to it, and I've basically been at most cup finals that Celtic have been at since. Remember the League Cup final when Celtic and Rangers played? Joe Ledley scored, but Jelavic scored in extra time. That was my first sort of Celtic Rangers game. In terms of Scottish Cup,
don't talk about the ones, Ryan.
I know. You could talk about the St Mirren and the Kilmarnocks as well. Ross County. Remember that, the semi-final? Yeah. There was a point, and I never take the run that Celtic have had going to Hampden. I don't take it lightly I don't take it for granted, because especially under the likes of Neil Lennon, Gordon Strachan, etc., the record wasn't that great. And you were always going to Hampden, almost watching the games through your fingers, because Celtic at Hampden seemed to be like a bogey stadium for the team to play in. So in recent times, it has been a happier hunting ground for the club. But in times gone by, when I was growing up, it used to be not a game that you dreaded, but a game that you came into with a bit of trepidation, because you knew that any sort of Celtic could turn up in that game, good or bad.
There was a period when they lost a few, where they lost to Ross County, they lost to Hearts, they lost to Kilmarnock in the League Cup final, didn't they? They lost to Rangers in the final, Inverness, So there was a period in Hampden they were starting to talk about a kind of Hampden hoodoo and all that.
Lost twice to Ross County at Hampden.
Yeah, exactly. So
imagine losing to them.
And they lost to St Mirren as well, didn't they? A semi-final, So there was a period when it wasn't a happy hunting ground, but certainly that's been rectified in recent years.
Yeah, I mean it was Brendan Rodgers and his invincible team in that season that got over the hoodoo or the curse we had at Hampden, because there's no doubt there was a period when anything that could go wrong for Celtic at Hampden would go wrong. I mean, there's so many you can pick out, but the one that always stands out to me is that Inverness one. I think we were on for the treble that season, weren't we? And just like, I think did we score an early goal in that game? I want to say Van Dijk scored a free kick, and then Craig Gordon gets sent off, and we had the famous penalty we should have got that was just totally ridiculous.
Josh McKean's handball just Griffiths,
things just went wrong, and that was just symptomatic of games at Hampden at that stage. Like I was at so many of them, and they all just ended up the same way pretty much. And then Rodgers came in 2016, and since then I think we've lost one game at Hampden in 8 years. I could be wrong, but that one that went to extra time against Rangers, I can't think of another one we've lost at Hampden. It's gone from one extreme to the other, and it's for me it's down to Rodgers, and it's kind of ironic, Tony, that he's now back at Hampden for his second spell.
And it's Aberdeen in the semi, but Aberdeen at Hampden, you immediately think of Tom Rogic slaloming through the defence and just scoring in the last couple of minutes to seal the invincible treble. And I don't care what anybody says, it's certainly up there in Celtic historic moments. I'm usually quite reserved when I watch Celtic, but I was there with my father and my nephew, and my nephew always said to me it's his favourite Celtic goal because it was the day his uncle Tony went mental. I just kind of like the Tasmanian Devil meets Yosemite Sam. I just went, oh. I went in Glasgow parlance off my nut, as they say, and that lasted a wee while. So he was delighted to see that because he'd always seen me being reserved at the football and not just the way I was. But he just said I lost it that day and he loved it. And it was great to be there. I was there with my dad and I was there with my nephew. And sadly, my brother wasn't there. And I wrote about that. I wish he was there. It was just a couple of generations of. And just every Celtic supporter has their memory from that day, don't they? It was just a brilliant moment for every one of us, you know.
I remember everyone having short sleeve shirts on, and it teeming down with rain before the game, like rain you would not even believe. And I remember I was actually living in Germany at that stage, just on a kind of 6-month thing in Stuttgart, and it was that big a game that I came back for it because I had a chance of a ticket and I got to go and ended up hugging Tony Roper when the winning goal went in, which was a weird one, but he was in a row in front. But I just remember the goal going in, and then I think I actually ran down the stairs. That's how mad I went. I've never done that before, but it was just that kind of moment. And then I just remember like seeing the players celebrating and obviously kind of getting ready to go back in for the kick-off, Aberdeen kick-off. And like I genuinely started crying. And a Celtic game has never done that to me before positively. It just, I think, because it had been such a special season, we all wanted it to end in the perfect way. And I mean, that season for me will take a lot of beating. I know people talk about competition and stuff like that, but the achievement of that team that year was just like something we'll never see again. I don't think domestically. It was amazing.
It really was. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that ran down the stairs and was celebrating, because I did the same. Either that or I tripped up and fell down a couple of rows because I was celebrating that much. I've got no embarrassment of that to say that was my favourite day of supporting Celtic in my life. It was just, everything about it was absolutely perfect from start to finish. You know, I think the Lisbon strip had came out that day, or near enough that day. So there was an influx of people that had bought the 45th anniversary, 40th anniversary? I think it might have been 50th anniversary,
50th.
the New Balance one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember loads of people were buying it out of the Celtic shop and going to the game. That was the first game that they were sort of christening it with. Tom Rogic, I don't know if he drinks or not, but he won't need to buy another drink in Glasgow because of that goal. He is eternally etched in Celtic folklore for that goal. He'll always be a hero of mine for that goal. It's just, if ever a goal encapsulated a player, it was that one. It just the thunder from down under. I christened him after that because it was absolutely brilliant from start to finish. I was just a great day all in. I remember there was a clip that came up last night. You know how I think it's Little Z that shows the games from X amount of years ago. Remember there was a game that Celtic drew with Ross County. It was a game that they were winning, and I think it was Alex Schalk that dived to get the late last minute penalty. It was an incredible season because you were annoyed at the fact that Celtic were drawing games because they were winning every game under the sun. It was just a perfect season. If Celtic can get anywhere near that this season in terms of getting 2 out of the 3 trophies that they got that season, then they'll be on to something. I think that's the reason why people were so excited to see Brendan Rodgers come back, because of the magic that he brought the first time around. I'm just hoping that all the tumultuous times have passed now, and now that Celtic can be on the straight and narrow from now until the end of the season, see their best football and hopefully bring home 2 of their 3 trophies that they won last season.
There is that wonderful clip when Rogic scores with a lightning bolt, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's just, everything about it. It was the fairy tale ending to a brilliant season. And as you say, Hamish, an invincible season where you win all 3, as recent times have shown you, you're a bounce of the ball away from losing a football match. Schalk's dive could have been, for a Ross County winner, that kind of thing. Decision away from, so to win all 3 and not lose a football match it's incredible, and it will never be repeated. Never be repeated. So I think everybody has their own special memories, but topped off by that wonderful game. the showpiece game, as it's known.
It's probably what Bayer Leverkusen are going through just now, because they're unbeaten in their season. I don't think it'll be done again in Scotland, but if Leverkusen could do that in Germany, then that would be some achievement. They'll be going through similar to what we were going through, but maybe even more so, because they've never won a league title before, and yet they're in this unbeaten season. They can still win basically everything that they've came to play for this season. It's an incredible moat every game in that run, because we didn't always think it was going to be an unbeaten run. It just seemed to happen, and they kept on winning, or they kept on not losing games. I think it was Hearts they played for an unbeaten league season at the
2-0,
the last game of the season, and there was nerves in that. Even though Celtic had won the league by a canter, there was nerves because we all wanted Celtic to have that unbeaten run going into the cup final. The story was there. It was all about if they could finish that story, and they did their part of that. It was a nervy 2-0 game. It was probably the nerviest flag day, title day or trophy day I've ever been to, but it was worth it in the end. And then the week after was even better.
I'm just going slightly off topic, but kind of more onto current matters, and I'll read out your favourite memories in a wee minute. Do you reckon if Brendan Rodgers wins the league or even the double this year, he'll make any sort of grand statement about it being his biggest triumph as Celtic manager? Would that be disrespectful to 16-17? Do you think guys that are winning the league this season in a dramatic way would maybe mean even more than that? What do you reckon, Tony?
I think he'll have his say. I don't think he would be disrespectful to anything that's gone before or any of his achievements. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would rank it in any kind of shape or form, but I certainly think he'll have his say, and I think he'll know and he'll register it as being a sweet one if he can get it over the line, certainly. But I think you will see box office Brendan come out swinging at the end of the season, and because I think he'll have a few things to say. But in terms of ranking it against the others, I just think he's too diplomatic for that. I think he's just he'll just say it's another one to add to the great successes and triumphs that the club have had in their illustrious history. If of course they manage to win the title. As I say, I'm desperate to win the title. The Scottish Cup's a bonus, but I'm quite confident that they can go to Hampden and win. And whoever they play in the final, then I'm quite confident that they could overcome them. But I just obviously this week's focus is on the Scottish Cup. But if you're giving me the choice, I want a title. End of story. You know what I mean? As I say, if we win the League and Cup double, brilliant. It'll be great. But title's the biggest thing for me.
I guess the good thing is, like, you win this weekend, and it's not as if we're got a midweek game, or anything. You just take this weekend on its own, you win that, and then you don't need to bother about the Scottish Cup until after the league season's over anyway. So win this weekend against an Aberdeen team that couldn't even finish in the top 6 of the Premiership. It's a match we should be winning. And then, as I say, you just park the Scottish Cup, forget about it. It'll be there on May the 25th, that iconic date. Thomas bringing up when Kieran Tierney got taken to the hospital in the first half and returned in time to lift the cup. I just recovered from my blubbering full time when Tierney went up and did that thing. And he was clearly out of his face at that stage. I don't know what drugs he'd been given, morphine or whatever, but he was... he was just fantastic at that moment. I loved that. Right, we'll go down I was about to offend Francis there, but we'll go down the older route. I was going to say, first final 6-2 versus Hibs. I won't even offend you, Tony. Were you there?
That's one of the few that I wasn't even born before. There you go, Hamish. But usually I'm there or thereabouts.
1965 League Cup final was Green Machine's first. John Hughes scored 2 penalties. Celtic won 2-1. Rangers fans invaded the park at the end, not like them. Larson's lob against Livy, Tony. I don't remember that at all.
Semi-final, Scottish Cup semi. I think Celtic won 3-1. Larson ran through. I think it was an attempted headed pass back, and he just kind of... Do you know what? It was similar to the one he scored against Celtic for Barcelona. He just kind of... And then,
did he have one against Rangers when he lobbed over Kloss?
Bob Malcolm slipped, and he just... So it was a similar type goal. think Celtic beat Livingston 3-1 in the semi-final, or 3-0, one of the two. I think it was 3-1 actually. So that was a lovely goal, just typical Larsson goal. Defender just goes to head it back and doesn't realise the Super Swede is onto him and just runs through and goalie's coming out. You know the outcome. Doesn't really matter what goalkeepers did. You know the outcome. And see when Henrik was running clean through. Yeah. And I say I wasn't saying I remember the 69 one. I just remember seeing all the highlights from that kind of stuff, so because I wasn't around, obviously. So there you go.
Yeah, Brian, first cup final 1980. George McCluskey, great guy. Then the riot. I know George McCluskey. I spoke to him previously about that, and his mates still bam him up for that. They say that he caused the ban of alcohol in Scottish football.
Celtic beat Hibs 5-0 in the semi-final, and George Best played for Hibernian that year.
Oh, wow.
He was pretty ineffective because Celtic were great, but that was during George Best days. I was at that, but he had played against Celtic at Easter Road and he'd scored a beauty. I think they drew 1 each, and he hit it that hard that Peter Latchford saved it, but he was about 3 yards in the goal by the time we saved it. He actually got it. It was but Best put on a masterclass that day. It was great at Easter Road, and it was good to say that he'd actually seen George Best. Wasn't in his pomp and ceremony, but he turned it on that day, and very good. But he played in that semi-final, but he was fairly ineffective. I think Hibs came with high hopes of winning it because George Best was in the team, but get battered 5-0, and then Celtic won the final. Hampden riot et al.
Yeah, Alistair bringing up 1988 cup final, his 18th birthday. You can do the maths and work out what age Alistair is, everyone. Scott McGill, 2007, big Doumbé last minute, what a goal. Jean-Joël Perrier-Doumbé, the last player prior to Daisen Maida to score for Celtic with a tackle, Ryan.
Yes, he did.
Ryan?
Sorry, I just heard some background noise from my end there. I do remember that goal.
Yeah.
Did he also play against AC Milan as well?
I remember he got a really bad injury. I think it was like a Achilles injury that basically ended his career. I always liked him. Cameroon international, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. So did I. Yeah, I remember watching. I think that was back in the Setanta days. You remember players from the sort of the clips that you watch of them. They're my formative years watching Celtic. Jean-Joël Perrier-Doumbé. I think that was in the 40th anniversary top. I seem to remember that's probably my favourite Celtic top, the 40th anniversary one from Nike, with the gold engraving as well. But yeah, he's one of those cult heroes, you would say. I remember Dion Dublin also scored for Celtic at Hampden. That was a game that I was at.
League
probably
Cup
more famous now. Yeah, League Cup final. Get the League Cup, and because they're played in the same ground, you get them mixed up, even though there is now a difference due to one of them being played earlier on in the season and then one of them being played at the end of May. So it does differentiate between the two. They're not that close together, but any Hampden moment where Celtic are winning is always a good moment. So you remember them all in your head.
That Dion Dublin one, which was the League Cup, was after Jimmy Johnson had just passed away.
Yeah.
I remember we had the big 7 on the back of the shorts. That was great. Maloney scored, and I think Zarafsky as well. It's mad, these things you remember from games 20 years ago, eh? It's just ridiculous. Mark saying, I like the games at Hampden. Last one I was at was St Johnson with the amazing Bertie Auld display. That was a kind of Saturday night game, League Cup semi-final. That was great. Patrick, my fave Hampden memory was when Rogic picked the ball up, ran at the Aberdeen defence. He was about to shoot. Big Jock roared down with a bolt of lightning and thunder. Right, quickly, favourite cup final goal, and you can't choose Tom Rogic. What are you going for, guys?
Oof. Now you're talking, now you're asking.
Cup final goal that isn't Tom Rogic. It's usually a tap-in. I usually always use that one. Edward against Hearts was good for the treble. Right at the end. All the imagery that goes along with that as well. I know there was a bit of disappointment at the end of the game because of news that came out after it. Well, some people were disappointed, but that whole spectacle of the winning the treble, Edward stamping on the balloon, the Hearts balloon, him scoring that goal, it really turned himself into a hero that day. He took the game by the scruff of the neck and was like, Celtic aren't losing this cup final with Edward in the park, and he made sure of that. Between that and I'm trying to think of other ones as well. There's been so many over the years. Cup final goals. I'll let Tony take the lead on that one, but I'll go with Edward against Hearts.
I have to say, just because it was my first cup final, David Provin's free kick was just a moment of magic. It was special and first experience of celebrating a cup final goal, and it'll live with me forever. Roderick's will obviously lovely, but if you can't say that one, fine. But there's been plenty of them. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'll go with Province for what it meant. So there you go.
I'd probably go Edward as well. I loved Callum McGregor's screamer against Motherwell in the Scottish Cup final, the one that was kind of half volley into the top of it. I think Cham scored one that day as well. Yeah, good memories, loads of shouts. Someone saying Ayer's penalty in the COVID season. I don't know if we're allowing penalties, Sean, but fair enough.
It was emphatic. Moment. It was emphatic from Ayer.
If you're talking about penalties at Hampden, you'd done belly dink against Rangers as well. You know what I mean? That the semi, wasn't it? Yeah, so
4-0.
Just moments. Yeah, so that was great. But there's been so many of them. So yeah, it's very hard to narrow it down to one, isn't it?
It is indeed. How are we feeling for Saturday generally then? We've got time to talk about the game ahead of it. Seems like we're going to have quite a big support. Celtic have done, I think, 5 different stages of ticket sales, so it seems like Aberdeen have handed back a fair amount of tickets. They wanted initially a 50-50 split for this match, which seems pretty ridiculous. I think they got 19,000 tickets. Spoke about it at the time, guys, and I said there is not a chance Aberdeen will sell 19,000 tickets for a semi-final. I don't know how many they've sold, but I would say if they've sold 15,000, they're probably doing well. So it seems like the vast majority of the stadium will be Celtic fans. It will almost be like a home game, maybe a bit like the Scottish Cup final last season, Ryan, when Inverness only had a small amount of supporters, and that should, support, help the team, I guess.
Yeah, I'm fine with it being a 50-50 split originally, but do it in a way that if Aberdeen cannot fulfil their allocation, then give the tickets to Celtic so they can fill it out, because there's plenty of fans that will want to be at Hampden. Celtic could probably sell the whole stadium and put it and fill it with their own supporters, such as the demand for these tickets for semi-finals. That demand never ever goes away. That novelty of going to Hampden never ever goes away. It's always a great day out for any Celtic supporter. I didn't think that Aberdeen were going to sell out their allocation. It's been a bit of a messy season from their perspective. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it on Saturday. Hopefully we'll get our accreditation sorted and we'll be through in the press box, Tony and I, to cover the game. Always look forward to going to Hampden. I know people have different opinions of it, but once you're there and once the match has started, it's always a different occasion, but a good occasion, especially if Celtic can get the win and get through to the final. I'm just looking forward to it. It'll be my first time going with the Celtic Way, if that's the case. Looking forward to sampling a different view of Hampden, probably a better view than what I would get most times if I was sitting there as a spectator. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Saturday can't come quick enough. It's always, there's an excitement about watching Celtic at the moment, and I'm just looking forward to every game that comes, regardless if it's in the Premiership or it's in the Scottish Cup. I'm just looking forward to getting in about it and watching Celtic again.
You're all I'll keep you right. Okay, Ryan? I'll sort you out, don't you worry.
Cheers, Tony.
You can keep me right technology-wise. I'll keep you right everything else. All right, there you go. That's a deal. Yeah, I love Hampden, but I hate Hampden because I think the atmosphere's terrible at Hampden at times, and I think they missed an opportunity to really make Hampden a wonderful, arena, an amphitheatre. But I don't know. There's just something missing at times with Hampden, isn't there? And personally. As I say, when you're sitting in the press box, you've got a decent seat and it's usually okay, but I just think it lacks a wee bit in atmosphere at times, and especially if it's not like a 50-50 split and, there's a kind of, I don't know, there seems to be, I just think it lacks something at times for showpiece occasions. I don't know if you feel that as supporters when you are there as well. I felt that for a long time. The old Hampden was great, to be fair, when you could stand. And those who are fortunate enough to remember that when it was heaving and been to wonderful games like the 1970 European Cup semi-final against Leeds when 130,000 were there, and that kind of thing. They'll tell you how good it was. It was, 130,000 is incredible, isn't it? Still a record to this day, I believe.
Absolutely mad.
Yeah, so
that was just people that were registered that actually went through the turnstiles. Think about the people that would probably went over the turnstiles in that game as well. It would have been more than 130,000 as they were reporting. It's incredible numbers that they got back in the day.
And I understand that you have to have all-seater stadia, but I just feel there's something lacking for me at Hampden. But there's usually some good displays by the Celtic supporters, isn't there? And they usually try and get a good atmosphere going and get it rocking. So hopefully that's the case on Saturday.
It's definitely better than it was for these kind of games. I remember in years gone by, like, see if you went back 10 years, 15 years ago, like semi-finals, there'd be a lot of empty seats at games. I don't know what's happened over the past few years. It's pretty much since Brendan Rodgers came to the club. But now, virtually every game at Hampden, you'll get, at least 30,000 Celtic fans, 35,000. Obviously, if it's like a 50-50 split and we don't have that opportunity. But I think the atmosphere is definitely better. The semis used to be horrible, and it probably kind of fed into that horrible record we were talking about because it was kind of eerie. And I remember Neil Lennon talking about those games, the players having to generate the atmosphere rather than the other way around. Saturday will have, no worries with that. I wondered if they might have gone for the 5:30 kick-off like they've tended to do recently with Celtic semis. We've had a number at that time. They've obviously gone with a lunchtime kick-off, so hopefully that doesn't affect the atmosphere too much. Overall thoughts on Hampden. Like, I love Hampden, but I would love any national stadium, I think, and it could be so much better than it is. I think you still can get good atmospheres in there, but the end stands are just so far away from the pitch. See if you're in the bottom, I'm not even talking the bottom few rows, if you're like in the bottom 10, 15 rows of that, I think it's the East Stand. Like, I remember the cup final against Rangers last year, the League Cup final. I watched that game and then I went home and the next day watched the recording on TV, and it was like a totally different game. You don't get a feeling for it really at that kind of level at Hampden, and supporters are paying that kind of money. I don't think it's good enough, but big Celtic support on Saturday. I think we'll be fine, guys. I don't think Aberdeen are great at the moment. They've maybe picked up slightly. They've got good players. Miovski's an obvious one we need to watch, but I just think Celtic have got the bit between their teeth at the moment, and I think it's an opportunity to put on a bit of a show on Saturday, and I like the fact we're the first match this weekend as well. I know it's not the league, but I think it just cranks up that pressure a little bit more if we can win that game on Saturday and Rangers play Hearts on Sunday, and we'll know Celtic are already there. It just cranks up that pressure. So I think that the fixtures are falling quite well for us at the moment, but obviously we're doing our job by winning them, and I think that will continue on Saturday. Any issues? Do you see any issues on Saturday?
I'm just delighted that Celtic are playing first because the pitch will be in a better condition than what it will be on the Sunday. That a better pitch will mean Celtic play better football. I think Celtic play the best football out of the four teams that will be playing on that pitch over the weekend, so it suits them to be playing first. I think Rangers v Hearts will be a battle on Sunday, which will be interesting, which might even lend itself. The pitch might lend itself in that way as well. It's going to be an interesting couple of days for Hampden and those games that are taking place at that stadium. I'm just looking forward to Saturday. It's good to have a bit of a break from the Scottish Premiership because it's been all encompassing. You talk about the Celtic Rangers game, there's pressure going into the Celtic St Mirren game to consolidate their position in the league. Good to have a wee bit of a break. It's almost like a break within the season. The games are still getting played, but it's a break from the rough and tumble of what is going to be a really, really busy time from now until the end of the season. Good chance to get to the National Stadium. First time this season, obviously due to the performances or lack of in the League Cup. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting back to the stadium. Hopefully Celtic can book their place in the final and then they can watch the game on Sunday and see who they'll be playing on the 25th of May.
I said it yesterday that though there's welcome distractions and there's unwelcome distractions in the season sometimes, isn't there, Hamish? I think this is a welcome distraction because I think the team's got their eye on everything now as well. So and like you, I think if they can play their football on a cracking surface, they're the first to play it, and they manage to get through this, then they just park it and go on with the other job at hand. But I think there was a lot of pressure building up in this past week as well, with Rangers, Celtic having to win against St Mirren to go 4 clear, Rangers having to go to Ross County and then playing Dundee to supposedly go top. So now they can relax and safe in the knowledge that whatever happens tomorrow night, they'll still be top of the league and they'll still be getting into the post-split fixtures, top of the league and possibly the Scottish Cup finalists. So I think that's a nice position to be in if they can manoeuvre themselves into that. And as I say, sometimes there's welcome distractions, and I think the players will welcome it as well. And then they know that once this game's finished with, it's, pedal to the metal, and there's the dogs on cue. You know what I mean? And you just get down to business. Then. I know I got to about 35 minutes here, but there you go. Is what it is. But yeah, just have to focus on everything and the jobs at hand. Saturday, the job at hand is to put your place back at the National Stadium for the showpiece game of the season, and then the other two can play it out on Sunday as to who earns that right. But Celtic just got to focus on themselves.
Referee for the game is Don Robertson. VAR is Greg Aitken. Fourth official David Dickinson. Just so you all know. Right, going ahead. Thanks again for your time, guys. Just a final shout out for this offer. We've got 6 months of access for the Celtic Way for £1, plus a free Kyogo Furuhashi print from renowned football artist made by Frankie. As I say, thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Back this